Fine, sir, fine.
A warm afternoon to all present here. The galaxy of intellectuals, Your Excellency, invited guests, renowned academicians, and dear students. The aim of education is the knowledge not of fact but of values. It is on occasions like this we get opportunities to share our knowledge and understanding. We look forward to get an exposure about what the best of the brains think about these very dynamic issues of current pandemic and technologies. Well, I, Shana, shall be the host for this webinar. It's my great pleasure and the first and foremost duty on behalf of Bundelkhand Institute of Engineering and Technology and on my own behalf, I welcome Professor Vinay Kumar Pathak, Honorable Vice Chancellor, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam Technical University, Lucknow, Professor VK Tyagi, Director, BIT Jhansi, Dr. Anil Kumar, State Project Administrator, SPIU Uttar Pradesh, today's expert, Dr. Animesh Acharji, Senior Scientist, University of Birmingham, United Kingdom, and also CEO and Founding Director of Omics Marker Limited, UK. All the members of SPIU team, all the members of my organizing team, and dear participants, almost 786 in number across the country from almost all states of our country who have joined through Zoom meeting platform and all those who have joined through YouTube live streaming. I welcome you all to the Industry Institute Interaction National Webinar on the topic Artificial Intelligence Applied to COVID-19 Data jointly organized by our institute, BIT Jhansi and State Project Implementation Unit Uttar Pradesh under Knowledge Transfer Series. I ensure that this webinar will be profitable and the next few hours will be enjoyable and enriched with experience for every one of you and will create some beautiful memories with knowledge and experience. Best what you plant now, you will harvest later. He says and he believes. Yes, I'm talking about a leader of this institute, a multi-talented personality, Honorable Director Professor VK Tyagi, sir. Professor VK Tyagi is director at Bundelkhand Institute of Engineering and Technology, Jhansi, since 22nd December 2016. He earned his BTech, MTech and PhD in Chemical Technology from HBTI, now HBTU Kanpur. Professor Tyagi, during his tenure as director of BIT Jhansi, has done good academic and infrastructure developments in the institute. His outstanding performances in academics, research and administration have set a new benchmark for everyone in the field of engineering and technology. Professor VK Tyagi is continuously engaged in innovative teaching learning processes and encourages his subordinates too. I request you, sir, to welcome the dignitaries and bless us with inaugural address on this wonderful occasion of intellectual gathering. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Senajayu. Honorable Vice Chancellor, AKTU, Professor Vinay Kumar Pathak ji, Dr. Anil Kumar, State Project Administrator, TechUp, UP, expert of today's webinar, Dr. Animesh Acharya ji, Dr. Surana, Nodal Officer, SPIU, Head of Department of Electronics and Electrical Engineering Department, BIT Jhansi, and the coordinator of this webinar, and my dear participants. I am very happy that SPIU and BIT is constantly arranging such workshops during this pandemic. At this juncture, I would like to, first of all, welcome the Vice Chancellor of this university, who is very dynamic and who has made the university vibrant, not only in the academics, but in infrastructure and research as well. He is a multi-talented personality. I welcome Anil Kumar ji, who had always been associated with any activity which is being organized by BIT Jhansi, particularly during this pandemic. As all of you are aware that this pandemic, COVID-19, has created lot of issues, lot of problems have been arised, lot of fear, lot of worries, lot of stress, and lot of uncertainties are surrounding all of us. And lot many activities are hampered, specifically the academics, the research have been hampered like anything. So definitely this pandemic has provided us an opportunity also how to deal with this and how to come out from these issues. Educational institutions all over the world are closed. Research is also restricted. Laboratories are closed. So we have definitely to switch over to certain alternatives which can prove beneficial to the mankind during this pandemic. This is not during this period, but this will go a long way because the technology can do a lot of miracles in the near future to come. So far as the AI is concerned, the topic which is being discussed tomorrow is a very relevant topic nowadays, and a lot of research is going on not only in the country but around the globe because it has many important applications. Specifically, I would like to point out few applications. Although I am not from that area, our Vice Chancellor sir will apprise you in detail. One of the most important area where this artificial intelligence can do miracles, it is in the field of the medical education or the medical sciences. A number of the diseases can be, even operations can be taken care of by using AI-enabled machines. Lot of diagnostics can be taken care of, and there is good scope of the artificial intelligence in medical sciences. Apart from this, the second area which is very important, where it can play a vital role is in the area of the air transport. Air transport, the proper and smooth landing, takeoff, and smooth functioning of the aircrafts, aeroplanes, etc. can be monitored by machines enabled by AI. The third area, which is very important, it is the banking and the financial sector, where lot of fraudulent practices can be stopped by using AI-enabled machines. Apart from this, in the games and the entertainment, because students and the youngsters are playing lot many games on the computers. So lot many AI-enabled instruments, games can be instrumental in making the entertainment more promising. So apart from this, the importance of this can also be emphasized based on the education policy which has been announced recently, that the coding will start right from the 6th standard. So students will learn the coding, which is a very important issue in making the data observations, data structures, using different type of the languages like Python, etc. So coding has become important. Apart from this, machine learning, deep learning, which derives you, which gives you certain algorithms which can be instrumental in making the life of the mankind more easier. So friends, these are the some important areas where it can find applications. Apart from this, there are certain other applications, even in sports, in agriculture. AI can play a very important role. So I will not take much of your time because experts is with us. He will share his experiences because he's having very good experience with senior scientist at University of Birmingham, UK, and founder director of one of the startup, CEO, and he's a visiting scientist of the University of Cambridge also. He will share his experiences, and by which the most of the participants will be benefited. With these words, I am again thankful to all of you for joining this webinar. I wish success for this webinar. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir, for your motivation, guidance, and moral support. Your influence can never be erased. It is the supreme art of the teacher to awaken joy in creative expression and knowledge. Thank you, sir, for being with us on this beautiful day. Thank you very much, sir. Going ahead, let me shortly take you to the agenda. The webinar has two sessions: inaugural session, where we are currently, and then technical session. Dr. Anil Kumar, State Project Administrator, State Project Implementation Unit, Uttar Pradesh, will deliver opening remark of the webinar. Afterwards, we will be blessed with chief guest address by Professor Vinay Kumar Pathak, Honorable Vice Chancellor, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam Technical University, Lucknow. Mr. Vinay Surana, Nodal Officer, SPIU UP, will deliver vote of thanks of this inaugural session, followed by technical session, technical keynote talk on artificial intelligence applied to COVID-19 data with basics of AI and elaborative applications with case studies. Dr. Animesh Acharji will be with us. He is Senior Scientist, University of Birmingham, UK, and CEO and Founding Director of Omics Marker Limited, UK. Question answers will be open session for question answers will be there. Feedback link will be given in the chat box. Questions can also be put up in chat box, which will be taken care by us to resolve through expert. At last, Professor D.K. Srivastava, head ECBIT Jhansi, will propose vote of thanks. Count your rainbows, not your thunderstorms, he says and inspires. Yes, Dr. Anil Kumar, State Project Administrator, State Project Implementation Unit, Uttar Pradesh. Dr. Anil Kumar has rich experience in field of academic and general administration, quality assurance, regulatory compliance, accreditation, industry institute partnership, international affairs and administration of examination, assessment and certification. He has around 35 years of experience from industries to academic administration. He has also served AICT MHRD as Deputy Director, Regional Officer. Before joining SPIU Uttar Pradesh as State Project Administrator in June 2018 for implementation of TechCube 3 project in Uttar Pradesh, he was Secretary and Director General in charge and Deputy Director General of Institution of Engineers, India. We are blessed to have such a distinguished personality among us in this webinar. Sir will deliver the opening remark. Over to you, sir.
Thank
Dr.
you.
Anil Kumar, sir, over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Sanarji. It's my great pleasure to be the part of this great webinar today, where around 200 participants have already joined. To start with, I first welcome the dynamic Vice Chancellor of AKTU, Professor Vinay Kumar Pathak ji, under whose leadership the whole of Uttar Pradesh technical education scenario is gradually shifting towards online learning, testing and examination. And very effectively and efficiently, this change is taking place in Uttar Pradesh. I must feel proud of that. I also welcome the Director of the institution, Professor V.K. Tyagi ji, who is continuously hampering on creating an ecosystem of digital learning in the campus through the webinars, etc. I also welcome Animesh Acharya ji, the eminent expert and the former scientist from Cambridge University, who is available with us to guide us for the artificial intelligence use to the COVID data. On this occasion, I must say that artificial intelligence has become the buzzword and is playing a vital role in decision making in all walks of life, be it space, defense, education, medicine, psychology, sociology, and various types of research, etc. It has already attained a very important position in the field of technology. But of late, this has been gaining much more popularity due to the recent advances in the field. This is the area where people are trying to make computers think and act like humans. Today, the amount of data that is generated by both humans and the machines are far outpaces humans' ability to absorb those data, interpret the data, and make complex decisions based on the data. Artificial intelligence forms the basis for all the computer learning and is the future of the complex decision-making process. Its importance lies in making our lives easier. These technologies are great asset to humans and therefore are programmed to reduce the human efforts as much as possible. They tend to process the capability of working in the automated fashion, and therefore manual intervention is the least thing which could be asked for or seen while operating parts associated with the technology. World today is passing through the crisis of COVID-19, but the crisis of fear, worry, stress are the normal phenomenon, but it has given a great opportunity as well. Now we are having the opportunity of innovations, opportunity of exploring more and more digital learning. Tyagiji was initially talking about the very uncertain scenario. I must say, during this uncertainty, one thing is certain, that digital learning has become a certainty in days to come, and there is no alternative and no substitute of digital learning. Tomorrow, digital learning, even after COVID is over, is going to play a vital role and a very big role. Government of India has risen on the occasion, and already before this crisis came, through ICT project of MHRD, large number of intervention has been done, and Government of India is now promoting not only through TechUp, directly to the institutions, or through AGC and AICT as well, the massive use of ICT. TechUp 3 project in Uttar Pradesh are working on many innovative activities for creating a culture of smart learning. It is thought that why not to understand the applications of artificial intelligence to work with COVID-19 data and to come out with strong solutions against COVID-19 for the betterment of the mankind. SPIU Uttar Pradesh and Department of Electronics and Computer Engineering of Bundelkhand University, Bundelkhand Institute of Engineering and Technology, Jhansi, has jointly organized this program on artificial intelligence applied to COVID-19 data. The expert today is Dr. Animesh Acharya. He has been the former senior scientist of University of Buckingham, has been the CEO and founding director of ICS Marker Limited, UK, and visiting scientist at University of Cambridge, UK. He has extensively worked on big data analytics, cloud computing, etc. He's a big name in the field of artificial intelligence, and we believe today will be a memorable event, hearing from him and learning from him. I wish the webinar will be successful in two sense and will be helpful to make understand the students the great potential it has, not only for addressing the many issues of society, but also the great potential for huge employment opportunity as well. With these few words, I once again wish this webinar a great success, and over to Sanaji.
Thank you, sir, for your cooperation and support. Within 2 months, we have conducted many webinars jointly with SPIU UP under your guidance. You have influenced us in such a positive way, words cannot express my appreciation. You are truly an inspiration, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Failure will never overtake me if my determination to succeed is strong enough. Yes, he says this and he believes this. Yes, Chief Guest of this webinar, Honorable Vice Chancellor Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam Technical University, Lucknow, Professor Vinay Kumar Pathak, sir. We feel proud to have with us our Honorable Vice Chancellor Professor Vinay Kumar Pathak, sir. Sir, you hardly need any introduction. You have made all of us proud by your distinguished work in numerous capacities, a man of distinct vision and a fountainhead of illuminating ideas, an ideal of knowledge, experience, and inspiration to all of us. He is a man who looks forward to reform the whole education sector with the aid of technology. Professor Vinay Kumar Pathak, Honorable Vice Chancellor AKTU Lucknow, is a renowned academician and a well-known expert and technologist of computer science engineering in the country. Professor Vinay Kumar Pathak has transformed the university with digitization, which he only can do. He is a man of digitization. He is an able administrator. He is a great philanthropist and always working for taking the academics at new heights. Professor Pathak is a true visionary with innovative qualities. His multifaceted personality has provided leadership to the teaching community and contributed immensely for the development of nation. He is a man of technology. Today, we are all facing the unprecedented pandemic due to COVID-19, but he is tirelessly working for betterment of students and society. He has organized an international webinar of its own kind with fabulous learned speakers shared with insights on effect of COVID-19 on higher education and what is the way forward on 12th May 2020, a new normal in higher technical education. During this lockdown, he started Ideathon for aspiring youths with innovative ideas to come forward in online weekly COVID-19 Ideathon challenge. During lockdown, under his able guidance, AKTU has done placement of almost more than 400 students. During COVID-19, AKTU has taken lead in providing dinner packets to 43,000 needy people. With his initiative, AKTU has donated 21 lakh rupees in COVID care fund to Honorable Chief Minister Uttar Pradesh. In his able guidance, AKTU has established a MOOC studio and also on 26 July 2020, that is on the establishment day of AKTU Lucknow, under his able guidance, the e-courses are launched on the Swayam Prabha channels for the students, which will be beneficial for all those who face internet connectivity problems. Because he says and believes that we are under lockdown, our brains are not. So learning should not stop. There are n number of achievements in his credit, but he himself is an institution. I request you, sir, to take this digital platform and fulfill our knowledge. We are honored to listen to your insightful speech as chief guest address to motivate this galaxy of intellectuals. Sir, over to you, sir.
Thanks, Anaji, for these wonderful words. I really admire you for appreciating me on this platform. Honorable Director of the Institute and a colleague of mine and a friend of mine, Professor V.K. Tyagiji, who also believes in relentlessly working throughout, and he is working throughout in for the institution. And Anil Kumarji, who is another legendary who works and believes in only working, who has made the SPIU UP one of the most vibrant SPIUs in this country. The great scientists who have come for a presentation and talk, and all other people and all other audience who have joined this workshop. I think it's a very, very important topic which we have taken today. And these data which is coming in the COVID-19 from all the kind of things are very useful, and the artificial intelligence tools can be made. And I think the speaker will tell us all about the data and everything. The only thing which once I want to tell you is in the next generation or in the next some 20 years, we will talk about two things. One is quantum computing, other is an artificial intelligence and its deep learning and deep imaging models. I think it's an important point what Professor Tyagi has told, and I also want to second it, is that the next science, the engineering and the medical sciences are going to be one. So they are at the confluence level. So we have got an interdisciplinary kind of a research. I think the data which we have got as a wonderful data, as there are n number of new models which can come out. Similarly, we have at AKTU also have done with the X-ray COVID data, we have done an testing model, which is an artificial intelligence tool. So we develop an artificial intelligence tool for COVID detection for the X-rays using the X-rays kind of a thing. Although that can be deployed and that has been deployed in most of the places. Mm, Similarly, we have got a lot of other data. We have got data of the social kind of thing, who has got corona, who is present of corona. We have also got the people who have migrated from the due to this corona. So there are a number of things in the society which are happening, and there are a number of data which are coming. I think all data are important, and we can model those data in the neural network kind of a model and CNN model and the other models which we think and can get wonderful results for our society. I think it's an important point. It's an important thing to have this kind of a webinar. I want to have a great success, and I want to wish a great success to this workshop and seminar. We are eagerly waiting for the fundamental talk which is going to happen. I again want to thank the team, my colleague V.K. Tyagi Saab, Anil Kumar ji, Shahnaz ji, the electronics department for holding such a good and wonderful webinar and inviting me into this kind of webinar. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Difficulties are opportunities to better things. They are stepping stones to greater experience. Perhaps someday you will be thankful for some temporary failure or a problem in a particular direction. When one door closes, another always opens. Sir believes this, and he himself is a true example of it, as he made this pandemic a great opportunity for us to way ahead. It is his this dynamicity that his duty as Vice Chancellor of AKTU has been extended for another 10 years, and we all congratulate you, sir, for successfully completing 2 years of your second term of Vice Chancellor of Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam Technical University, Lucknow on 4th August 2020. Sir, I wholeheartedly thank you for your inspiring, encouraging words. We wish to express our gratitude to you, sir, for being with us on this event. Thank you very much, sir. Your thought-provoking address set a perfect platform for us on this important topic of today's webinar. Thank you so much, sir. Prior to move ahead with technical session, I would request Mr. Vinit Surana, Nodal Officer Procurement, State Project Implementation Unit, Uttar Pradesh, and co-coordinator of this webinar to propose vote of thanks of this inaugural session. Over to you, Mr. Surana.
Thank you very much, madam. I hope I am audible.
Yes.
Thank you so much, madam. On behalf of SPIU UP and DIT Jhansi, and on my own behalf, I would like to propose a hearty vote of thanks for this webinar to Professor V.K. Tyagi, who has given the inaugural address and has very rightly said that this whole pandemic period has taken us to a new dimension of technical education, and that is online education. Thank you very much, sir, for giving us this direction and helping all the other institutions to cope up with this in this pandemic situation. I'd like to thank Dr. Anil Kumar, the State Project Administrator of SPIU UP, who has been our guiding force and an inspiration to all during these webinars or any other activities that are being held in Uttar Pradesh, where his wholehearted support as well as facilitation has been given not only to the institutions but to the ATUs and their affiliating colleges also. Thank you very much, sir. And a very important thanks to Professor Vinay Kumar Pathak, and as very rightly said by Shahnaz madam, that he is a multifaceted personality. Not only a multifaceted personality, but a multifaceted technical personality. I would say, since all his efforts has given a new direction to the technical education in the state, not only in the state, but also it has been going beyond the boundaries. Thank you very much, sir, for being with us and accepting our invitation as the chief guest of this webinar. And I'd like to thank our expert for today, Dr. Animesh Acharji, the senior scientist from University of Birmingham, UK, and CEO and founding director, Omics Smarker Limited, UK. I don't think there is a more contemporary topic where you have amalgamated two contemporary topics. The AI, which is one of the most advanced topics in the world today, along with COVID-19, which is also, I guess, the newest thing that we are still challenged with. So I thank you very much, Dr. Animesh Acharji, for bringing us these two very contemporary topics and amalgamating these two and bringing the outcomes as well as the case studies that you will be sharing with us in the next session, in the technical session. I thank you very much, and I hope all the participants shall be very much thankful to you for having their insights on these topics. I would like to thank Dr. Shahnaz Ayub, who has been working tirelessly day and night throughout the throughout the time she has been working on this webinar and has been making one after the other webinar successful, and has been giving the participants a very good platforms where they can learn, they can understand things, even sitting at their homes and having during this pandemic period. Thank you very much, madam. I would like to thank Mr. VK Singh and Mr. Mahavir Singh Naruka, who has the SPIU officials and all others who has been involved directly or indirectly for making this webinar a successful. And also I would like to congratulate all the faculty members of BIT Jhansi who has been working in the background for making this webinar a successful one. I would like to thank the World MHRD, the World Bank, NPI officials, and AKTU for giving their wholehearted support to this webinar and making our efforts successful. At last, I would like to thank all the participants without whom this webinar would not have been successful. I thank all the participants who are present here and who are there on live YouTube and shall be taking have taken their valuable time and shall learn from Dr. Animesh Acharji on artificial intelligence applied to COVID-19 data. Thank you very much. Jai Hind.
Let me thank Mr. Vinit Surana for his wonderful and tireless cooperation to this webinar. A door is much smaller compared to the house. A lock is much smaller compared to the door. And a key is the smallest of all. But a key can open entire house. Thus, a small thoughtful solution can solve major problems. Yes, he believes this. He is Dr. Animesh Acharji, our expert today. Dr. Animesh Acharji is a senior scientist at University of Birmingham, UK. He is a visiting scientist, University of Cambridge, UK, also CEO and founding director of Omics Marker Limited, UK. Dr. Acharji did his graduate degree in electrical engineering from Northeastern Regional Institute of Technology, Itanagar, India, and earned his PhD from Wageningen University, the Netherlands, on applied machine learning and data analysis. After his PhD, he moved to Lyon, France, for his postdoctoral study with Synergy Lyon Cancer Center as a biostatistician, where he extensively worked on big data analytics and cloud computing. After his postdoctoral study, he was offered a scientist position with BASF Crop Design, Belgium. He was involved in the different projects related to data science, including big data projects from collaborative Monsanto BASF projects. Before joining University of Birmingham and Queen Elizabeth Hospital, he was working with University of Cambridge, UK, focusing on metabolic-driven diseases like obesity, T2 diabetes, using high-throughput metabolomics, lipidomics technologies. His research interests include high-dimensional data analysis, predictive biomarker discovery, control theory, and network biology. Throughout his career, he was offered many fellowships from British Council, Dutch government, and Newton Fellowships. He has published many papers in the international journals and actively collaborates with University of Oxford, Harvard University, and University of Cambridge. Over to you, Dr. Animesh Acharji.
Thank you very much, ma'am, and thank you very much for giving me opportunity today. I'm very grateful to have everybody in a single desktop, I can say. But more importantly, the discussions and the people from State Project Implementation Unit and also Bundelkhand Institute of Engineering and Technology. I'm really grateful to the Vice Chancellor, sir, Director, sir, and I hope I can contribute something today. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to share my screen. So I hope
Yes,
my screen is visible.
Yes, sir, your screens are visible, sir.
Yeah, great, excellent. I think I don't need any introduction for the word called artificial intelligence. I think Director Sir and Vice Chancellor Sir especially mentioned about how things will change in a couple of years, maybe 20 years or 30 years of time. And the COVID-19 in itself as a very big topic nowadays. So what I plan to do, I cannot do everything in 1 hour. So this is my plan for today. In the next couple of minutes and hour and so, I would like to touch upon the basics of what is artificial intelligence. Yeah, and how this AI is connected with healthcare analytics. I think Director Sir mentioned that AI is applied to many other domains. And it's not only the healthcare domain, but financial domain, banking domain, agricultural domain, and many other domains. The basic principles are same. Okay, the domain change, the basic principles are same. So I would like to touch upon in that focus the workflows. Doesn't matter you are working in the healthcare analytics, how you proceed for this type of approaches. Okay, and the fourth is the most important one, the case studies. Okay, now case studies, what I did, I took case studies from very high impact journals. Okay, now the high impact journal, what I meant, Nature Biotechnology, Nature Medicine, Lancet, New England Journal of Medicine. These are very high impact in the case of around 60, 70 impact factor journals. The fifth one is I'm interested to talk about what we are doing. So how my involvement, and UOB means the University of Birmingham, and UHB means University Hospital Birmingham, how they are involving in the COVID-19. So I will talk about some snapshot, what we are doing. And finally, I would like to talk about how we collaborate, because I'm basically from India, and I would like to do some sort of collaborations in the interdisciplinary type of research. So I hope I can cover everything in 1 hour. Sometimes I will move into the very basic concepts. So the people who have a lot of expertise, you have to bear with me. Sometimes I will go very technical one. So those who are basic, please bear with me as well. But as I said, after 1 hour, you might be able to get a overall idea of what is happening. Yep. Okay. So let's move on. So what is the definition of the artificial intelligence? So I think, I mean, you can see there are some of the keywords I highlighted. I think directors and vice chancellors and other people, Anil Kumar sir, they already talked about it, these keywords. Okay. Now, the ability to computer to perform certain tasks. So computer will perform, not you, but you have to teach them. So computer should learn it. So there is the main important aspect is the learning. Okay, how can you make computer intelligent to work for you? So meaning, can you make computer as a servant to solve your complex problem in a way? Now, and if you look at the literature, so I took this. I'm probably I'll share my presentation some point. You can see these are the articles I'm referring from where I got my definition, and what does these AI and machine learning, deep learning things are belonging to. Now, this is a very debatable concept. Now, some people are thinking artificial intelligence is a part of machine learning, deep learning is a part of machine learning. So they are actually, sometimes they're talking about the same thing. Okay, the principles are similar. Okay, they are the subset of each other. But for example, I'm giving one example like computer vision. So in computer vision analysis or different types of imaging analysis, there seems to covering quite a lot of areas like AI, theoretical AI even, machine learning and the deep learning concepts. Yeah. Now, what is happening in last few years. So for example, you can see and I am trying to draw some sort of in the bar chart, 2013 to 2016. So this is a 4-year-old data, but nonetheless, it does say about how the publications in the PubMed, in the intellectual community is going up. So you can see there's a quite rise in the publications related to the deep learning thing. Yeah. So that is very clear. So people are using actively in this sort of approaches to solve their respective problems. Now, what is happening? I mean, what is happening in the different domains? So, for example, if I talk about the healthcare scenario, if I talk about the healthcare scenario, what is going on? So, if you look at the data, and I took this data from this paper, which is you can see there are 10 leading diseases in the world. Neoplasm. So neoplasm is mainly kind of the cancerous thing, nervous system related problem, cardiovascular, yeah, digestive system. And you can see that there is a cumulative growth where people are using the artificial intelligence. Yeah. And then the second graph, which is talking about the data types considered. Okay, I think vice chancellors are touched upon a little bit, or newcomers are also touched upon, is the diagnostic. So diagnostics has become one of the challenging thing. People don't want to invest much money in the drug, but the question is, can you identify before disease onset? So that's the question. Yeah. And if you're asking this question, you can see that diagnostics imaging. I mean, for example, vice chancellors have touched upon a couple of things like X-ray, CT scanning. You know, the imaging part is coming up quite high. People are using AI-related activities in this area. Genetic diseases, yeah. For example, cancer can be genetic. Type 2 diabetes, yeah. It is one component is genetic. So, for example, if your mother has got diabetes or father got diabetes, you are most probably tend to have the diabetes in a way, yeah. And then there are different other things. So people are using a lot in this area. Now, if you project this exactly the same thing in this idea, so what is happening here is, and a little bit, you know, move forward kind of approach. You have now short-term goal, medium-term goal, and the long-term goal. And in the y-axis, low automation to higher automation. And then in between, you can see the topics, yeah? How the topics are close or far. Now, you can see the prognostic scoring. People do use it, prognostic scoring, a lot of time. However, you can see the autonomous ventilator. For example, in COVID-19, one of the things people are working is how the ventilations, you can improve the ventilations, yeah? AI insulin pumps. So how automatically the people who are suffering from type 2 diabetes, you can pump in the insulation. Can everybody mute it, because sometimes it is creating background noise. So it will be useful if everybody can mute, and when given opportunity.
Dr. Atul, please mute all the participants. Yes, sir, you continue, sir.
Yeah, can you, I think you can hear me, right? Yeah?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Excellent.
Please,
so great. So what I'm trying to say that, I mean, it's kind of a forward-looking approaches where you and I was saying that they are based on the AI or different decision-making tools. Now, people do ask me whenever I give a presentation that the link between these two, I mean, it is not, I mean, what is the link between artificial intelligence and analytics? People are nowadays talking about a lot about data science, you know, big data analytics. What is the link? Yeah. So if we wanted to understand the link, what we have to understand the data. Yeah. So you can see this is a kind of the data we can have. So in this particular slide, what I did is all the data is accumulated. Like you can see the structured data, unstructured data. So what does structured data mean? Structured data means you can put in your Excel sheet or in your text format. The rows represent maybe something, and column represents some measurement, row represents some experimental unit, and these are your structured data. Now, if you talk about unstructured data, there are many different sources, like Twitter. Some people tweeted. In Facebook, some people lied. Yeah, electronic health record data. Yeah, then in the blog data. So some people, you know, writing the blog and writing some sort of a technology. So we can do a lot of things there. So these are the unstructured data set, and then in together everything becoming a big data scenario in each of the domains. So what is happening here? So you have your AI, you applied on some sort of data, and then why you are applying? Either you wanted to infer the knowledge. So knowledge means, I mean, for example, you wanted to find out last 20 years in the industry, how much investment you make and where is the key areas you want to make investment. Yeah. So that is your knowledge. You wanted to infer the knowledge from there. Yeah. It also might be, it is a part of your process. Yeah, in this process, you use for optimization and you use AI for optimization. That also can be possible. Or you wanted to understand the system. Yeah. So then it becomes also a huge system. and then using the AI, you can also do the similar things here. Now together it becomes a kind of a big data sources. Yeah. So together you can think about the massive amount of data, like the data is coming from the satellite data, for example. So they will maintain the volume, the different types of data, velocity, veracity, and value. So in summary, you can say we use the AI on some data set to infer some knowledge, or maybe the process, or maybe to understand a little bit more the systems we are working on. Now, if you look at, these are the few articles I took from the literature, and these are quite interesting. These are quite interesting in terms of the healthcare domain. What I wanted to give the message is people are using for multiple different diseases. For example, the top one, you can see the type 2 diabetes. Second one is very general, like big data analytics in medical and healthcare domain. Artificial intelligence assisted gastroenterology. So in the gastroenterology, how people are using like a colonoscopy in the colon cancer and this type of applications. Trauma biology. I mean, that is how you can, for example, if you get an accident, you get a trauma in your body, can you apply artificial intelligence and see which hospital will be better for him? Is it hospital closest or specialty hospital? Okay, this type of decision you want to make. Yeah, and there are many other applications. Normal can mean anything, and I say statistical doesn't mean you cannot apply ML. Okay, so 4, interpreting the result. 5, communication of the result, where you are communicating the result. These are the 5 ingredients you need if you want to live in the data science area. Okay, it's very general. I have written for healthcare analytics. It's true for if you are going for market analytics, okay, market optimization, you want to healthcare optimization or agriculture, the flow is the same. Okay, and this is a very nice paper I take it from. This is from the Roger Pang, and this is Roger Pang is a famous biostatistician from Johns Hopkins, and he wrote a book. This book was free actually, so you can download, and he explained quite a lot about what are the steps has to be in this. Okay, let's quickly move on to the first point. Stating and refining a question, how important it is. I mean, many people doesn't pay attention. People say, okay, I have got the data, I have to do something, but it's not the way. Okay, you have to ask question. And these guys, the Roger Pang and Lee, they are colleagues in Johns Hopkins. They published a paper. What is your question? And this one page published in Science. So you can see how important this topic can be published in Science. So this came up in 2015. And they say mistaking the type of question being considered is the most common error in the data analytics or analysis. If you don't ask proper question, your entire pipeline will go wrong. Okay, so I encourage you to go through this one and just to get an idea. This is one page, and he talked about the problems and how do you mitigate these effects. Yeah, so it's very important. Second part, descriptive analysis, exploring the data. Now, exploring the data means what already happened. Okay, we have not reached yet artificial intelligence to apply, but then you have to understand, can we apply artificial intelligence, or we are bringing elephant in our home? Okay, so these is high, but you have to also understand, can you apply? It's not that everyone, you have 2 patients, you can apply AI. No, it doesn't work, unfortunately. Yeah. So you have to understand exploring the data. So this is very basic step. Backward looking, what happened? Why this data is gathered, what happened this data, summarizing the data. So summarizing means you identify mean, median, mode. That's it, quantile, that is it. Okay. Is there any missing value in your data? Okay. Do you need to consider missing values or not? What happened? Why it happened? So you really, really be very critical in these steps, because these are your earlier steps. You have to be very critical, and you have to be challenging the person who is bringing the data. And that's what I do all the time. Yeah. And then just to give one example, I took it, this is a little bit technical and little bit in depth, but the key message from this slide, look at the right hand side. You can see X13, X14, X15, and these are my important feature or variables, and rows represent some experimental. You can see two things here. Number one, there are some values, 0.58, 0.58, okay. X15, 000, X17, NA, NA. Now, if I am physically present, I would have asked you, what is the difference between 0 and NA? But I have to answer myself now. Yep. But it's interesting. So there is a difference between 0 and NA. NA means not available. 0 means is a value. Okay. Maybe the machine or something is a minimum value is 0. You don't know. NA means it doesn't know anything about it. It can be anything. It can be 0. It can be any other values. So we have to be critical. And why they are missing? What is the explanation of the missing? Is the person or data source is not available, or the person you ask is not in a good mood and did not fill it up, or what is it? Yeah. So we have to be careful about this type of aspect. So that is the pre-processing of your data, where you want to understand the structure of the data, and you will decide that time, okay, I know my data. I have to think about many things like machine learning or traditional way of looking at it, or deep learning, all these kind of things. Yeah. Okay. Now I said formal statistical models, but is definitely extensible. So I would say formal machine learning or deep learning kind of thing. So in this category, I divided the data in 4 different parts. Okay. Number 1, descriptive analytics, predictive analytics, prescriptive analytics, adaptive and autonomous analytics. So these are the different steps you can consider within the analytics domain. Okay. Now question is, what is the difference between them, and when should we do what? Yeah. So descriptive analytics, as I said, these are all about what is already happened, and the predictive analytics, what is going to happen. And prescriptive means if you change one thing, if you change one parameter, how it is behaving. And the last one, which is the very high level, where people are using actually deep learning and agent-based simulations, is a real time. Okay, so patients are coming, COVID, non-COVID, real time. Okay, patients are coming. You have to make the decision now, because you have to save time and future studies. Yeah. So like Google Car is example of the adaptive and autonomous analytics, where data is fed. Many years of data in the pipeline. Okay. Then let's talk about the input data. So you also need to understand what is your input data. Okay. Now, input data can have a different structure. So I'm giving one example here is a matrix form. So matrix form means you have your features, you have your samples. So that is your structured data. So that is your structured data. Yeah. And sometimes in the healthcare domain, if you are talking about many biological data, it's a very much untargeted. So in a single experiment, you will get maybe thousands or millions of features in a single experiment. So it is very important how you think about your analysis domain. Now, talking about the input data, can be many different forms. So for example, the first cartoon I made, there is no any outcome variable. Okay. Second one, you have an outcome variable, which I call response, your Y, and Y can be your binary, Y can be multi-class, Y can be quantitative as well. So you want to link them. So for example, here, I just wanted to show you, this is a very continuous kind of outcome variable. For example, age, and you want to link some clinical or some features with your age, for example. Here, maybe cancer stage 1, stage 2, stage 4, and it become multi-class problem. The third one is a multiple different format. You have same patient in rows. You have a different types of data, maybe clinical data, non-clinical data, and you want to combine them. So these are all the scenarios you might come across in the analytics domain. and you need to think about what type of method you are going to use. So going back to the next slide is some examples of the machine learning algorithms here. So we can classify the machine learning algorithms broadly in three categories, like supervised, unsupervised, and reinforcement learning. And then you can see what people are doing last few years. This is a data from this paper, Jiang et al., and they showed in the healthcare domain, people are using support vector machine around 42%, neural net, and others they are using, and you can see the percentage of a method is using how much. But nonetheless, one of the things is missing in this. They did not take into account, the industry. In industry, people also use, but we don't know because it's an IP related thing. But maybe the figure will completely change if you consider the industry competencies or industry things. Yeah. So in models, the one of the basic, whatever I showed, they either two things. Either they do a kind of a regression, classification, or pattern recognition within the pattern. How you best you can define with your models. There are many other models can be considered as a machine learning, like this is the decision tree model, where you in 2014 in the literature around maximum times. Later on, people move into convolutional neural net. So these kind of things are happening around the globe. But one of the important aspect is, how do you validate your model? Okay, so people do ask you, okay, you run your model, how do you validate your model? I think this might be very basic for some people. So the validation, we always talk about external validation. Okay, so we don't talk about validation, the data given to you. So is data given to you? Idea is you make your own model, you predict, data is not given, and that is the ideal way to do the validation. So we call it external validation. And there are different kind of trends. Yeah, how do you split your data? Because there are many hyperparameters. You need to optimize each of the parameters. Like in decision trees, you need to decide on how many trees are optimum, how many number of trees are optimum, how many m-try, n-tree, and this kind of calculations. In artificial neural net or deep learning, you need to think about how many layers you are going to use. Yeah, and that can be done by the cross validation or leave one out. There are many different ways people are using in the literature. Yeah, and then you measure the performance metrics. The performance metrics is by the confusion. We call it confusion metrics or contingency table. So it gives you a sense about true positive and false positives, which is very important. You wanted to get an estimate how many how model are accurate. So you estimate your true positive rate, false positive rate, specificity, sensitivity, and the ROC curve, and all these aspects there. So what I'm telling in summary, your first motivation, why we are using AI, different classes of AI, different machine learning algorithms, validation, and performance, how model is behaving, good or bad. Okay. Now, once you get your results, you might want to interpret your results. How do you interpret your results? So remember, these are the 5 principles I talked about. This is the, I think, 4th one. And you are now interpreting your results. So you want to revisit your original question. What you wanted? Is it directionality? Is it magnitude? Is it uncertainty or standard deviation from the model? Develop overall interpretation. So your interpretation would be the overall. Okay. For example, my educational background is very multimodal. So my undergrad is electrical. I did biology in my master's, and then I did machine learning in my PhD. So I kind of going every time back and forth. Yeah. So your domain expertise is also important. So if you are working in the finance domain, you might want to involve someone who knows finance. And you, as a AI expert, your job would be to bring those results and discussion. What do you think? Is domain expertise aligning or not aligning, this type of thing? And then how you take the actions once you get those kind of thing, and is it actionable? Can you take actionable? If you want to take action from the results, what need to be changed? That is important. Yeah. So that's the differences between the theoretical AI and applied AI in this area. And then finally, you wanted to interpret or communicate your results, because people who are doing AI expert, usually they come from the computer science background or mathematical or statistical background. And then, for example, there is a tendency to, because you know your domain so much, you tendency to use different jargons. So the idea is you fuse your jargons. If you are talking with a clinician or medical science doctor, they don't care about your jargons. They care about, can it be applicable? Can my patient really survive? Can I use it in a clinical settings? So you have to make them understand the way they want it. So the way I do, I make a lot of figures, make tables, and try to avoid my jargons. So that's the way I mitigate my different stakeholders' concerns. Now, AI is good. AI is an elephant, everything. Okay, AI is solving everything. But nonetheless, everything comes with a price. I mean, in life, anything comes with a price. You have to pay the price for that. The question is how much you are paying. Are you ready to pay massive or small? Okay, there are concerns. Concern is your noise. Your data is not like, the data is created by us. So data will be noisy. So there will be variability in your data. So your measurement error, your sampling error, your heterogeneity, your dynamicness of data will be there. Okay. So be careful about what you are trying to achieve. Okay. So in the mathematical way, if you can see, if you can look at your effect size, so effect size means if you are looking at, okay, for COVID-19, the gender matters. Okay. Male get affected more than female. But then how much effect you can estimate your effect size. So effect, I mean the regression coefficients or some sort of coefficient, some weight. However, that is your original thing. You will get some sort of deviation associated. You will never get the true value. Some value will be associated because it is very difficult to dissect this value. People are using many different models like linear mixed model, causality, Bayesian, but whatever you do, some of the part of your model will be unexplainable. You cannot explain it. Okay, so we should take into account that effect size in the data. Okay, and then if you look at the pipeline, so if you look at the pipeline is following. So you have the question, you design your study, you generate data, you pre-process data, you apply statistical machine learning, you select some feature, and the knowledge discovery. Remember, in each of your steps, your error get multiplied. Your error get multiplied, and the error is coming here as well with your knowledge. Okay, so it's very difficult to dissect these errors. So we have to be very careful what we are looking for. Yeah. So what we are looking, actually, eyes of the tip. We are not looking many of the things hidden in your data. The reason I am telling you, so you have to be careful about the deep learning, whatever you are using. You cannot, you can tell we use deep learning and then we got it. But remember, there is a heterogeneity, there is a variability. Probably we could not explain that part. Okay. All right. And then data privacy and ethics. So data privacy, I mean, who authorizes your data? Where you are getting your data? Can you take another patient's data for analysis? Who authorizes? So this is a very, if you open the Nature article and you keyword and you type in, the data privacy ethics in machine learning, you'll see that even in UK, we developed a different thematic area, data privacy and ethics. Okay, so I'm also part of HDR for Health Data Research UK. It is a huge grant, government of UK established for 5 years, and they made a thematic area, data privacy and ethics. So the job of them, looking at where data is coming from, people like me can use the data. Okay, so it's very important. So it doesn't go away. I mean, we have to take into account very seriously. Okay, so far I have talked about very general thing. Now I am going very specific thing. Okay, very specific, very specific about certain topics. Now, what I did, all the case studies are taken from the, as I said, Lancet, New England Journal of Medicine, and they are interdisciplinary. What does it mean? You will see massive amount of artificial intelligence applied in multiple different domains, okay? Now, all the papers, as I said, so for example, you can see the first one is in Nature paper, okay? Could COVID-19 help refine AI, data analytics in healthcare? Okay, and all these are last 3 months old paper, or maybe even last week. There are papers, I think, 30th of July, I'll show you. I mean, and every day they're publishing the new papers. And you can see the data in the right-hand side, small table, 2003, 2 papers on COVID. 4, 1 paper in PubMed. 6, 7, nothing, because nobody knew COVID will be enormous, yeah? And I think the 2003, this is about the SARS virus or something came up in China at some point, I think probably that one. 2020, 522, and I'm talking about maybe 3 months old data, and now it become the double, actually, okay? So you can see the massive amount of the data is came up in the literature in last few days. So what these papers are talking about? These papers are talking about how we can use the AI to solve the problem. Applied AI. We're not talking about so much in the theoretical AI. We're not developing, you know, we can tweaking the method. We can do the neural network, little bit of tweaking to work for us, but not that someone is going to, you know, identify new neural network. No, we're not talking about that. Yeah. Okay. First case study, artificial intelligence tools related. So this is the tools related, infrastructure related. So these data, so you can see the 9 June 2020, this is a technology feature in the Nature, and they say what people are doing around the globe to make infrastructure for COVID-19. So you can see, again, you can see the January 2020, February, China just closed down, and other countries, you know, they are locked down in the process, and you can see what is going on. Total COVID-19, and then portfolio, and then you can see peer-reviewed article preprints, and quite a exponential growth in that, yeah? Now, if you read this paper, Artificial Intelligence, what they're talking about what people did. Kaggle, they made a Kaggle competitions for COVID-19. Google COVID-19 Research Explorer even, okay? They made it. COVID Scholar, developed in Lawrence Berkeley in California, okay? Spike Code focuses not only in the retrieval of the paper, but extraction of information from them using a simple query language. Simple query, maybe SQL, and in the backend there are quite Oracle and different others, but just to make use of the other people. So this is one of the example I want to give for infrastructure. Okay. Okay. Then next one, the next one is about the natural language processing. Okay, knowledge map. We talk about a lot about knowledge map. So you can see. So what this guy did, I think this is the group from the Mexico, and this Mexico this paper is not published yet. This is the archive paper, so they probably will be published soon. So they did some sort of natural language processing. They looked at the word, how many words people are using in the abstract level, in the titles, and in the keyword. So you can see the patients, nCoV is coming up quite high. COVID is coming up, coronavirus is coming up in the air. So why they want to do that? They want to do that because they want to create a knowledge map so that people can be easier, yeah? And not only that, what they did, they make an occurrence of the ontology. So if you look at the graph in the computer science, or if you are discrete mathematician or whatever, I mean, and we do use quite a lot. I mean this kind of thing. So you can see the graph, the sizes of the graphs is about the frequencies of the article co-occurrences, and the link between the disease outbreak, epidemiology. You can see they are quite a red color one. Now the green color one, the green color was not, and the blue color one, they are not exactly same. They are a little bit different because they are not co-occurring with this one. I don't know why, but in my impression, I would guess that maybe the human will be associated with, you can see the coronavirus infection is not associated with human. I don't know why they made it. I was thinking oh yeah. So human and human. Okay, so here is a human. So the big human, the big one is for the coronavirus related, and this one is non-coronavirus. There are some link between that. And if you look at the authors, who are connecting the authors, you can see the one, and these are the all Chinese authors. Initially, they published those data sets. Yeah. So this is just one example for the knowledge map. And then there is another paper came out in Cell, And you can probably you can read proteomic and metabolomic characterization of COVID-19 patient serum. This is very biological paper, but nonetheless, biological paper because they applied AI in molecular data. So what they did, they used the patients, and they identified different proteins and the different metabolites which are unique for the COVID patients. So, and then you can see here, there is a small cartoon. These are the data from the patients. This is, you know, the experiment they did, and this is your classification. So they use, you can see the small, you know, this is kind of a PCA showing evaluation and the machine learning tools. Yeah. Now, this is a little bit detailed, but you can see what I said earlier is will coming back here. So these are your patient characteristics. So you can training cohort. So the training cohort, as I said, data, you are creating your model. So that is your training. Okay. And they used testing. They use the testing in the independent, you can see the test cohort, only 10 patients. So number of patients are very low in this case. So question is, can you apply deep learning? Answer is no, you cannot apply deep learning in this type of settings. So you have to use some sort of, so they use a random forest and they want to understand biological mechanisms. So their question is different. They want to make a model, but they also want to understand the mechanism in the biology. So they use the deep or machine learning for biological mechanisms. So you can see there is a little graph. So those who are from biology, they might be recognizing. Those who are from computer science or mathematics may not be, but doesn't matter. If you're mathematics, you interpret as a graph. Those who are from biology, they will interpret as a pathway. Okay, but these are the novel pathway they found, and you can see these are the transcription factors, enzymes, different color representing different types of data. Okay, and then remember I talked about the AUC so you can see the AUC value 0.95, which is AUC is a combination of specificity and sensitivity, and you can see this value is coming up 0.95, which is quite good model. Yeah. Okay. Next, move on. So this paper, it came out in Nature Biotechnology, which is around 40-45 impact factor journal, came out 30th of July. So last week or maybe 2 weeks back. Yeah. What they did, this group is from Chile. Yeah, Latin America, Chile. What they did here, and they mentioned about, and I try to highlight what is important. So this is the abstract level reading. Okay. Now, laboratories in developing countries. So for example, India, we are also a developing country. Yeah. And what they did, they took a nasal swab and they did a MALDI. What is MALDI? MALDI is a high throughput experiment called matrix assisted laser disruption ionization mass spectrometry. So this is a quite long name, but you don't have to remember the name. But what I'm trying to say, this is a high throughput experiment. So they are claiming you take a nasal swab, okay, and you do some sort of targeted measurement like MALDI, and then from these you can identify the lead, and you target those lead for COVID-19. Okay, and they found actually this paper is quite good. I mean, they're quite good in the sense they applied I think 5-6 different machine learning method, and they claimed support vector machine provide highest accuracy. Okay, so and they applied random forest with feature selection, without feature selection, all these different strategies. Okay, so this is one example I would say. Also more on the diagnostics level, but also how people in the developing countries they can achieve, you know, the fast, accurate way of doing the experiment. Okay, next one. Artificial intelligence enable rapid diagnosis of patient with COVID-19. This is a CT scan data. I think the Vice Chancellor sir mentioned about the X-ray. It's very similar to these settings. They published in Nature Medicine. So Nature Medicine is of course is a quite good journal. But then in this article, what they did, they used the CNN model and the deep learning model. They combined CNN with traditional machine learning, and they showed your log value, your predictability value increases if you combine 2 different types of modeling approach. And data is coming from CT scan imaging. Yeah. And then they have a collaboration with hospital. Of course, you cannot do it alone unless you have a collaboration with hospital. So again, this is an interdisciplinary area which I want to emphasize that this type of, if we want to publish a very high impact, we need an interdisciplinary approach to solve this, not just computer science or not just biological science as such. Okay, next one, mobile data, smartphone. So this paper came out in 8th of July, and this is for Nature Scientific Data. Okay, and in Italy. So data is from Italy. So you can see how when the people got a lockdown, how people use their mobile data. Okay, very interesting. So they use smartphones. You can see how many 1,70,000 patients, massive amount of patients, yeah, and how their activity, what their preferences are changed. People, for example, typing a lot about the traveling, but when COVID-19 happened, lockdown happened, people are not talking about the traveling. They're talking about maybe takeaway food more. Yeah, so understanding the need for people will give you added advantage what people need, so you can serve better. Yeah. So what they did, the design of their study is a pre-outbreak. So they take the data, each day data, 17, 21. So, but this is not shown, but they took a massive amount of data. Non-essential industry halt in this time period, stay at home, school closure, so this data is all about this one. And I think, and they shared the data to understand the trajectory of the pandemic. Okay, and then they said in this paper how we can make a better healthcare decision from the smartphone data. Okay, so this is one of the example. And so I try to give a molecular data, imaging data, mobile data in multiple different use cases. You might want to look at those papers if you're interested how people are using those data sets. And this data is free. You can download and do your own analysis. Okay, so I covered the next bit. Now next is how we are involved. How I am involved in this type of COVID, because my involvement is hospital. I am working for 50% hospital. I'm also working 50% university, but also apart from that, I have my own business, as you know. So I'm trying to jumbling around and trying to maintain the equilibrium. So what we did in this, we are collaborating with NIHR Global Health Research Unit called Global Surgery. Now I have to introduce what is Global Surgery. Global Surgery is a international effort, and they are all over the world. And we have a hub. We call it hub, and we are focusing mainly on the developing countries like Ghana. India also we in the Ludhiana in Punjab we have a hub. Johannesburg in South Africa, Nigeria, Rwanda, Birmingham, as an Edinburgh University. So we have many trials in the surgery. So they are specialized in the surgery level. Okay. Now, what is happening here in the surgery is what is happening in the surgical point of view. So in the COVID-19, this is a respiratory syndrome. You get once you infected, first few days no symptoms. 14 days onwards, there are some symptoms started. Based on the subtype of the virus, you get a different types of respiratory aspect. Okay. So and then you might need operations as well. If you are suffering from multiple different diseases, you may need surgery as well. So what we did, this is the work actually by my PhD student Laura, very talented PhD student. She is from biomedical engineering, so but focusing on the inflammation. So she understands computer science, she understands mathematics, she understands inflammatory biology as well. So this is a very interdisciplinary in a way. So they have given us 4,525 patients. Okay, and they measured 16 clinical aspects. So they measured age, gender, respiratory syndrome, previous respiratory syndrome, cardiac syndrome, if there are any cardiac, and they also estimated the mortality rate in 30 days. 3,569 patients died alive, and 956 patients are dead. Okay, so the question is, can you identify some sort of what are the important aspect of this out of 16, which one is important out of many 16, so that we can prioritize our decision making. So what we did, we developed a tool. Okay, we developed a tool, and if you see this tool is exactly similar the way I described the data analysis pipeline. So data set, exploratory analysis, select important feature, model generation, model deployment. Okay, and once we develop this one, these are the results. So you can see these are the bar diagram. You can see the levels of the feature. Each of the features are drawn here. You can see which one is alive is red, dead is green, and you can see, for example, if I take a gender or sex, you can see the male there are percentage of male people who are dying. You can see, you can look at the, and this is true for not only for these data. I think this is true for other Italian data or Chinese data as well. Okay, and also you can look at the pattern, what is happening here. You can see anesthesia, so general regional anesthesia. If you look at the general anesthetic, the people are dying if already have this one. So we have identified a couple of other important parameter from this data set. And then more little bit detail about the results. So what we did, we took the 16 features, we ran multiple different models, including generalized linear model, which is a part of traditional statistics. We use the random forest, we use support vector machine. I think we run around 5-6 different types of including artificial neural net, and we did a combinatorial, okay, combinatorial analysis. Single, which one is give you best? Take combinatorial combination, gender with any other clinical features, and see how much your accuracy is coming up. So the best we got is with the GLM, generalized linear model, the gender or sex, ASA2, which is a parameter, respiratory, and age group. So age is also important, and I think you already know age is also important. If you are more than 40 or 50, you are more prone to get COVID-19 because of your inflammatory markers in your body are not a pro-inflammatory, they are not activated compared to the 20 years old person. And you can see the AUC curve, how it is 0.71, and this is the ranking based on AUC, all the combinations and the model and the model. You can see here in the model a different run. We run 1,000 times. We took the mean of AUC, not a single run, a multiple run. We estimated standard deviation and all these things. And these are just a visualization of this table. And then what we did, we made an app for this kind of real time. We made an app because we know now what are the things is happening, which are the important parameter we should take into account. And we made an app so that we can help the clinical people there. Okay. So what I'm trying to say is AI, machine learning is just a tool. Question is, where do you want to apply? Yeah. So data is a fuel. I mean, you have to understand which is a petrol, diesel, or what type of fuel it is. Where do you want it to apply AI? Yeah. And definitely this is an interdisciplinary research. So I'm wherever I'm going, I'm emphasizing this fact. It's a combination of amalgamate of computer science, clinical science, statistics, data science, or whatever you call it. But this is really a joint effort. And then it is very clear from the research is a combination. It gives a very high impact. It's very high impact. Nature Medicine is not a joke to publish Nature Medicine. I mean, Cell, Nature, these papers are really, you need a massive cohort. You need a equal contribution coming from the clinical science, equal contribution coming from mathematician, equal contribution coming from computer science. And then you make an impact on that. And then that is my definition of the interdisciplinary science. Of course, I am doing quite a lot of things here. You can see we cannot also rule out the social science aspect because social science gives you the practical. Can you implement in our society or not? Okay. Clinical science and basic science, they are kind of a linking with each other. And here, this is published in 22 May, and the Nature Machine Intelligence Journal, which came out, I think, very new compared to other nature journals. So they say machine learning for COVID-19 needs a global collaboration and data sharing. Okay, so data sharing becomes an ingredient of the research nowadays. COVID-19, due to COVID-19, we're doing more, but in general, for example, if I have a cohort from type 2 diabetes, I would like to see how North Indian population are affected, or South Indian populations are affected in type 2 diabetes. What are the clinical features? What are the microbiome or bacterials are different in this kind of journals in aspect. So just for your information, how people are emphasizing this kind of thing globally. Yeah. Now, very last point I would like to talk about a little bit of collaborations, and this is boiling down to my earlier conversation of interdisciplinary science. So I have been collaborating with many different universities over the years. So that is, and as I said, I really talk about these things, and which is very important. And then what we did, and same applies for the people from India. I could not achieve that much of collaborations in India, and that's why they are not in the list here. I'm still trying to do something with India, but somehow something is happening. I'm not able to proceed. But however, it's not only just collaboration. Okay, we have to maintain. We have to make our stakeholders make work. why Harvard people will be interested in me if I am saying, okay, I'll work and I don't do anything. I have to show proactivity. So we made some progress. We have, for example, this Journal of Neurosurgery. So it looks like it's a medical journal, but it is not. I literally use the support vector machine, and the patients are coming from Harvard. Patients are coming from Massachusetts Hospital. So these are USA population, but machine learning applied in those. So these are international, interdisciplinary journals, okay? This one paper came out in I think 2 weeks back, just accepted. You can see, if you read it, you can see these are very, very biological, but if you read it, it is not, okay? So this is the collaboration with the University of Cambridge, with Latin America, with Colombia. I recently published one paper in agriculture, okay, on image processing. So what they do, they're using the drone for plant phenotyping. Like we measure patients, they are measuring the plant. How much is the plant height? How much is the, stem root? All this measurement. They are saying employing if they employ someone, it's very expensive. So they are using drone. They have an image and massive data. They wanted to understand. So we developed, the automated pipeline, and we published in the plant method. Okay, and we use deep learning there because you have a massive data. And some extent, the problem is image analysis. Some extent, the problem is also prediction as well. Molecules, we published with University of Parma, Italy. This is the polyphenol, okay, the coffee. So it's very, you see the diversity, yeah? Where you can apply AI. Espresso coffee, which coffee brand is better? Because this is an industry project. The people who are making coffee, like Espresso, Nespresso, Illy, those companies approached this group and then say, okay, I want to prioritize my coffee group. Which one is it? So it's very interesting. Then the diabetes, of course, this is clinical. And then there are a couple of papers which are in the pipeline. And what I wanted to say is you can see the varsity, the variety of applications. And you literally can impact using this. But nonetheless, we have to remember where we are going to apply, the pitfalls, and all of the things. And lastly, what I did here is lastly, this is a very new, I developed an omics marker, and I have some other consultants working here, and diagnostics using AI, artificial intelligence, how we can make a better healthcare. That's the question we are trying to solve. Yeah. And definitely interdisciplinary. So we have a person we call in the biochemistry background, nothing to do with AI. We just kept it because we wanted to get more feedback on the biology. Yeah. Okay. Now, how do you work? So there are a few links. I would say, even for me, if I want to work some people in India, so what I look for the 3 things: Newton Fund Scheme. The Newton Fund Scheme is a British Council. So this is a collaborative work. The PhD students, 2 years, they spend in UK, 2 years they spend in India. Okay. And then all the costs are taken care by British government, British Council. Yeah. Very competitive, but there is opportunity where there is a collaborations can make. Vajra faculty. So I'm applying, I've been trying for Vajra for a couple of some NITs. Gyan for teaching, but then it's not only for teaching. If you teach, you interact with the people, and then you develop a proposal, and then you submit in Vajra, or maybe DBT grant or DST grant, and so on and so forth. Okay, and finally, these are the group. I'm leading the omics analytics group. I'm reporting to my director, HDR UK director. He's my director, and there are people. I have 2 PhD students, 2 postdoctoral fellows working many different universities across the globe, and I'm very grateful. They have shared their data, and I would like to increase this list, of course, and would be great, and then make an impact. That's the ultimate goal, that how collaboratively, and you can see nothing to do with inflammation. I don't know anything about inflammation. But however, if we know what problem they are facing, I think we can contribute a lot. Yeah. And finally, I am very grateful for giving me this opportunity. And please feel free to email me if you think I can do something or we can collaborate something. I'm a visiting professor in NIT Calicut. I come sometimes, and VIT as well, NIT Shuratkal. So I'm a little bit involved, but I would not mind to come anywhere, and share the knowledge and make a very active collaborations and make a culture for interdisciplinary. So that's my goal. I hope you have a lot of questions, and then I will try to answer as much as I can. And thank you very much for your participation. I am very much grateful that I have given this opportunity to share my experience, and of course, small experience. I have not that experience so far, but whatever it is, but I hope maybe it is a little bit of useful. And thanks a lot.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Dr. Animesh Acharji. You have explained very nicely, and I am thankful to this particular digital platform that when we organize the sessions offline, then coordinator has to run here and there for some arrangement, etc. But today, very coolly, I could attend your session being in spite of coordinating this. So it was a great experience. Mistakes increases your experience and experience decreases your mistakes. If you learn from your mistakes, other will learn from your success, and hence never complain about the difficulties in your life, because the director God gives the hardest roles to his best actors. Thank you, Dr. Animesh Acharji, for your insightful presentation on the webinar topic. You are truly a motivational benchmark to the youth of the world. Thank you very much for your excellent elaborative delivery on artificial intelligence and motivating the audience for innovations. Actually, there are lots of participants who have in Zoom platform. So if I mute all them, then there will be a chaos. So I have picked up some questions from the chat box, and we will go through the questions one by one.
Yeah, great.
Yeah. So, I would like to ask on behalf of participants that you told about omics marker, that it is a data to diagnostics. So, what exactly the role of this? Like data to diagnostics means you are collecting the data, or you are processing the data, or what exactly it is?
Yeah. So we are doing both. Okay. So what we are doing, we are developing the platform. We are developing the platform. Data is coming from various resources. These are the molecular data and non-molecular data. And some people, like stakeholders, are coming to us saying, okay, I have got my data. Can you tell me something? We say, okay, we have got data. Would you like to try our data as well, including you? So we fuse independently the data and try to see, okay, your data got this one. So we start from the collecting, but also this data is collecting from all the public resources. Yeah. And the stakeholders bringing their own data set. So it is starting from collection, processing, and knowledge division. Yeah.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. And sir, just moving ahead to the same topic, that whatever data, let's say, suppose if we have our data, and is there any specific format of the data which you require, or it can be any raw kind of data which you accept?
Any data, any kind of data, any kind of data. So structured, unstructured. Now, if it is unstructured data, what we have to do a little bit different process.
Okay.
Yeah. If it is a structure, then our job is little less. You know. So if you're bringing Excel sheet, yeah, then we do some processing and then we move ahead. But then if it's unstructured, our job becomes little more. But we can work on both the things.
Yeah. And one more thing, that when we work with AI, that is its limitation is that we have to have a large amount of data to work with AI to reach to some conclusion. So what will be the authenticity? Because when we approach to the Indian hospitals, etc., for data for research purpose, then it is not so easy. We do not get the data easily.
Yeah.
So how to handle this particular problem?
Yeah. You are right on. You're right on the main problem. Actually, that is the problem in especially in the Indian universities and the hospitals. What I say, because what I see here in UK, university closely work with the hospital. Yeah. So your first barrier is gone. Yes, so what is first barrier? First barrier means they know us. If I am going now and I am saying myself, I am coming from University of Birmingham, and go to Nottingham, or not Nottingham, and then say, you are university hospital. You are saying university hospital. And they say, okay, we are university hospital. Tell us, what is your problem? That is the first step. Doesn't matter what you talk. You have a coffee maybe. You see what I mean? But this is the recognition. This is the first thing. Okay, they will recognize when I go there, they will say, I am not an invader. I am not a third person. So they got little bit of, assurance. And then I started talking, look, I have a project, these things. I have the data. I am interested to look at your data. Can you give us, I am ready to help you in terms of the logistics, like writing the DTP, data transfer agreement, on all these type of things, confidentiality, now GDPR, and would you mind to share with this? And they will say yes or no. And more probably they will say yes, because they are from the university hospital. Their job to promote the research. In India, what is happening, they are a little bit disconnected. Although there are few places they are connected. I mean, I have not seen so far the data coming from the hospital, and they are working very, very closely. Maybe there are a few groups, and not as massive as we are doing. And that's why you can see this is the gap. And I think how you can mitigate, you have to involve the clinical people before you write a project. You have to involve them, and also there is a bureaucracy. I mean, who we are talking? If you are talking to an MBBS doctor, they say, oh, I'm not boss. Talk to my MD boss. Now you have to go through who is the guy who is authorizing, who is the guy who is making signature, and talk to them. Make an agreement, because I'm in everywhere actually. This is a very lengthy process, transfer of the data, and making all the ethical aspects. But I think you have to involve them in the upfront.
Yeah.
And and that is the only way I could see. Otherwise it becomes disconnected, and impact is not that much you expected from AI.
Yes. Thank you, sir. You mentioned about data privacy and ethics issue also properly. But still, I would like to ask you one question. That suppose if we have everybody now is having oximeter, pulse oximeter, because everybody is so careful about COVID-19, etc. Everybody wants to know that what is our oxygen saturation level, etc. So suppose if we try to collect, because if now I have that device, small device, it is not costing much. If I try to collect the data from that particular device, and if I want to work on this particular system, now the instrument is authentic, but collection of data is done by me. So how do I authenticate that particular data? Because there may be ethical issues if I want to use the data for publication, or for some further process, or for some further work in this area. So how to handle this particular problem of the data which we have created, how to make it authentic? You got the point what I am asking, because
I got the point. Yeah. So authentic. I mean, we have to be very careful about, because I mean, as you said, we cannot touch or anything, and the device has to be properly installed to get the data. And I think it is very critical. This is your critical part. And if you look at the workflow, this is your step number one.
Yeah.
Making infrastructure correct. If it is not correct, whatever, doesn't matter what you do. You do CNN, ANN, doesn't matter. Whatever you do, everything is false positives. Yeah. So this is more in the practical aspect, actually. I mean, what you were saying. I would say, I mean, initially you will face difficulty, or you need to think about, maybe the patient will come, someone will come in isolation, and then use the device, and then go out, maybe something like this. You have to think about the strategies. Strategy A, strategy B, strategy C. If A doesn't work, B, and maybe for A, you generate some data. For B, for reproducibility, you generate some other data set as well, and compare how reproducible those are.
Good. Thank you, sir. And the next question is that for AI, for machine learning, etc., generally at our institute or our level, we use MATLAB and coding-based programming for that. What do you suggest? What are the best platforms to work with these AI systems?
Yeah. So for AI system, people are nowadays using Python.
Yeah, Python. Yeah, now it has started. Now we have started using Python also. Python is our at peak. So you suggest that we should go with the Python?
Python, and it depends on the application. Python, it is easy. R, some modules in R. R is slow. For big data, I would not recommend an R. I would recommend R for very targeted analysis. If it is a big data sort of analysis, Python is very good. You need to secure some cloud computing aspects as well. So AWS or Amazon AWS or something, or some sort of cloud infrastructure. And of course, the Linux platform. Your machine has to be, a very high terabyte machine so that your running time maybe less and this kind of thing. So you have to take into account the infrastructure first for this thing. Yeah.
Yeah, good. Thank you, Dr. Saab. One more question that you talked about that if the data, massive data, if we have massive data, then we go with the deep learning thing. Is it only that whenever the data is massive, then only we use deep learning, or is it related to the complexity of the data? What do you mean by exactly massive? Because I'm just confused in massive and complexity word.
Yeah. Okay. So the massive and complexity, yes. Okay, thank you for bringing that. This is very important concept. So massive means you may say, you can say, okay, you have number of patients, maybe 1 million patients. 1 million patients, and you have got measurement, maybe 500,000 measurement, massive data. Okay. Now, complex means you get multimodality. You get a clinical data, same sort of clinical data. You get the same sort of other molecular data. So it becomes a massive and complex because you have to handle each of the modality of the data, clinical or biological. Okay. Yeah, so this is one level of complexity. Second level of complexity, you don't know yet what is in the data. Massive doesn't always mean it is nice.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? Massive doesn't always means it is nice to have massive, because you don't know yet what is inside. If you're if 90% of the columns are blank, what can you do? It's massive, but blank. Then deep learning doesn't work anymore. I mean, 90% data, this data is chaos. I mean, I would say you cannot work with this data because more than 50% data are missing, and you cannot impute the missingness, because you can impute because it will be directed more how you impute.
Yeah.
So,
Dr. Atul, please mute the participants. Dr. Atul, I request participants to mute. You can put your question chat box. I'm picking up the questions from chat box. Yes, sir, please. Yeah, Dr. Animesh?
Yes.
So, yes, sir, please. You were continuing.
Yeah.
Sorry for the interruption. Yeah.
Yeah. So what I'm saying, the massive doesn't always mean that it is nice. So that's what I'm meaning. I mean, it may be chaotic. So you need to really and then see how it is behaving. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Dr. Saab. Now, one more question. Moving ahead. It is related to the table which you have shown in one during your start of the presentation. That time some of the columns they were having 0 and some of the columns it was NA, not applicable. So not applicable means we are not sure what is that data, exact data is not available, and 0 means it is a minimum value of the data. But suppose if we want to use this particular data to learn our systems, then because we cannot ignore NA, we have to put some value. So how do we go with it?
Okay. So
because NA, you got my question, because 0 is having some meaning and NA is not having any meaning.
So I will ask who got this data. I would like to talk with them.
Okay.
I would like to talk with them. I would like to understand why this is NA. Is it NA? Is it because the measurement is cannot we cannot take the measurement, or we can? I mean, what is it? Is it, should I make a minimum value? Should I put a median value? Should I make a average value, or should I make a predictive model by KNN? We have to understand that. Some people do by average, some people do by median. But I would say I would like to talk with them to make this decision. Yeah. Should I put in average, median value, or minimum value?
Yeah. Good. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Any more questions? Now I think the questions are. One more question. Can you suggest some sources of data which are like latest data sources for COVID-19, which are the free sources of data which we can use for research work?
Absolutely, there are many. There are many. I mean, the person who is asking, I request if you can contact me directly. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know who requested, but then if I mean many of them have my email address. If you can email me, I
Yes,
would
yes,
I,
definitely.
I would be more than happy to direct you in particular way. Yeah.
Yeah, sir. Yeah, I will
There
take it from you.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. And I think now no more questions. I couldn't see the questions. There are so many lots of appreciations for your sessions. Very nice session. Very well presented session. Lot many appreciations are there. So thanks to all participants for such appreciations. So these appreciations are for you. It
Oh,
is for your
okay.
presentations. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
Few.
oh, great. Okay, thanks a lot. I mean, I think one of the great strength is the audience. Okay,
Yeah.
I think you mentioned earlier. I mean, if audience is not whom I'm talking, I mean, I usually make this kind of coaching, or I mean, I also coach people as well. But this kind of things, I face to face is
Sir,
much more interactive actually. So, yeah, and thank
sir,
you very much. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
somebody wants to ask that
sir, I have one. Sir, I have one question.
who is asking, Ravi? Is it Ravi?
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
okay, go ahead.
Ma'am, I want to ask that question. If somebody wants to do in a job in a data science, then what are the
Hmm.
basic purpose and what are the basic training, or you can say courses we have to do for that, for like machine learning, deep learning. मतलब sir, ma'am, scenario क्या हो सकता है इन सब चीजों का?
Yeah, Dr. Animesh
Yeah.
ji, would you like
Yeah.
to answer? Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I mean, the first question I will ask, what is your basic background? Are you 10th pass, or you 12th, and you are looking for undergrad, or you did already your undergrad?
Sir, I am BTech CS third year.
Okay, CS. So you know CS. Okay, so then what you have to do, you have to specialize you do a machine learning related the projects, because I can suggest you courses. Courses will give you basic information. Okay, people write they have done courses and all these things, but unless you have a real feeling, if you want to make your career, you need exposure. So if you, for example, if you wanted to do your final year thesis, I would say you take a artificial intelligence based thesis where you can show how the data is behaving. So that will give you a very, very practical aspect. And 6 months working in your thesis will already you are ahead. Yeah. And the companies, they will ask, okay, what you did in your thesis? And then it's opportunity for you. Yeah. And definitely to achieve that for 6 months, you need to take maybe Coursera courses, maybe the Udemy, or I don't know, data came, whatever it is, or MIT
Yeah.
lectures, or whatever. But these courses will give you the basic understanding. Now you are computer science. I believe you studied the theoretical computer science, data structure, and operating systems. You are good at that. Now you have to be a little bit serious about the mathematics, linear algebra, so that you can explain the model. Yeah, mathematical models. Yeah, so or maybe differential equation type of model, this type of numerical analysis. So if you make stronger that bit, that will do a job. And also you need to think about where you wanted to make an impact. Is it you want to developer or scripting, or scripting the data science, or you wanted to do the infrastructure related cloud computing or high performance computing for the data? There are also a little bit of division there. So think about those lines.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dr. Animesh. You have explained nicely. Actually, I have noted down because you have nicely explained on all the topics like stating and defining the question, descriptive analytics, exploring the data pre-processing, building formal statistical models, input data validation of models like external validation, concerns and data privacy, ethics. So lot many aspects almost all important aspects you have covered, and I think this is a good platform for students also and for the researchers also to go ahead with this particular takeaways from this particular session. Our director sir also is there. He is also attending the meeting. On behalf of our institute, I would like to ask you one thing, that because you are a best combination of biology and engineering aspects, can we have some sort of, can we are also having good students in our institute, and they are also, but they do not have the good background of biology. They, a few of them, they do not have the big great good background of artificial intelligence. So can we have some collaborative project work with your omics marker or under your guidance?
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, that is absolutely true. I mean, and that is, I'll be very much flexible about it. And yeah, that's absolutely fine. I mean, the thing we have to do is define the project, define the scope, deliverables. What is the deliverables will be coming, supervision plan, how supervision will be going on, impact. So, I mean, any of the things you can see in my presentation, if I take into account or undertake some work, I would see as a paper, a high impact paper. As a we don't go for SCI journal or Scoopus journal. For our main objective is impact. It may be 10, 15, whatever it is. We go for high impact journal, and we bring SCI Scoopus this important. So we need to design the project. We have to see, find the role, and then we have to see how deliverables are. And I'm very happy to take into account anything in this aspect. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dr. Nimesh. Director sir is also here. Sir, are you listening us? Do you have any conclusive remarks or any comments or any suggestions?
Yes. Are you listening me?
Yes,
Yes, sir.
yes, sir. Yes, sir. You are very much audible, sir.
Okay. First of all, I am really thankful from the core of my heart for the nice presentation by Dr. Nimesh ji. He has
Thank you.
thoroughly explained and with a greater clarity the impact of AI in the society in the near future. It will be helpful to deal with lot many issues related to the society, whether it is from the healthcare, whether it is related to the energy sector, whether it is related to the environment, because you have to play with the data in a positive manner, and lot of important inferences can be drawn. One thing what he mentioned in his lecture, that the culture in US and UK, so far as the research is concerned, it is multidisciplinary. Most of the research is carried out in collaboration of medical schools. But here in India, we do not have such collaborations. So much so that in a single department, there are a number of the faculties having different areas of expertise. They are working in isolation. They do not discuss, because if they discuss, the expertise of one faculty member can be utilized for solving certain practical problems. So that culture is to be inculcated. I can share one thing, because Acharya ji is there in UK. I would like to mention here that my son is doing masters at the Cornell University at the moment in chemical engineering, and after his third year, he undergone a training at UK in Cranfield University, and he worked on the CFD, particularly simulation and modeling. He is focusing upon, and nowadays his research area is related to the diabetes, because as you all are aware that diabetes and the cancer are the two deadly diseases which are affecting the whole universe. So we have to come up with certain models which can be we can predict and can provide the solutions to lot many problems. So data from the computer science department, from the AI, from the medical schools, and others can be done in a multidisciplinary manner to solve the practical problems. So that way, Acharya ji pointed out very effectively that a multidisciplinary approach, multidisciplinary learning is required as on date, so that the problems of the society can be rooted out. With these remarks, I am really thankful to all of you for the participants, and I am confident the way he has explained the things, participants might have definitely benefited, and it will be helpful for them for deciding their future course of action in their professional world. With these, I am thank you to all of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, sir. And now I think Professor D.K. Srivastava, are you there in the meeting? Professor D.K. Srivastava, are you there in the meeting?
He's not there, perhaps.
Yeah, okay. Actually, Director sir has eased my work. I am thankful and grateful to Honorable Vice Chancellor Professor Vinay Kumar Pathak sir for sparing his valuable time to be chief guest of this function and blessing us with his encouraging words. I am thankful to our Honorable Director Professor V.K. Tyagi sir. Not only he inspires us, not only he motivates us, but along with us, he also attends the sessions and he also participate in the event with us and build our boost our moral. I'm thankful and grateful to you, sir, for providing us this opportunity and making this webinar successful. It's because of your efforts. It's because of your presence, your effort, your support matters us a lot. I'm thankful to Dr. Anil Kumar, Mr. Vinit Surana from SPIU Uttar Pradesh for their cooperation and for joint organization and for wide publicity of this particular webinar. So because of that, lot many participants, lot many persons from all over the country, they got benefited. Almost we got participation almost from all states of the country. So none of the state is left. So thank you very much for SPIU team and for their cooperation. I am thankful to my organizing team, Dr. Atul Kumar for his technical support, Dr. D.K. Srivastava head and other faculty members who have directly and indirectly have supported me. I am thankful and grateful to all the participants who have joined here through Zoom platform, through YouTube link.